JJ and Jonathan, we all know that Heuer is very connected to motor racing. But Jonathan, you're going to show us something a little unusual.
Well, sports timing is something that they've excelled at forever. And one of the most important additions that they made was this micrograph, which times to 100th of a second, which is quite... Now, we go back to when, JJ? When was the first one?
The first one was patented in 1915.
Oh, as early as that?
Yeah.
1915. So next year, 100 years of micrograph.
100th of a second. So
120 years.
Yeah.
No, what did I say? 1915.
1915.
Oh, yeah,
almost 110, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But Jonathan, at Bowcliffe Hall, I mean, there's big connections here at Bowcliffe Hall to motor racing.
Yeah.
You're here with Vintage Heuer. Heuer are connected to motor racing. We know this, JJ, mainly from the 1960s onwards. But go back to the very early days, Jonathan, and they would have been using pretty much this.
I think this watch was used at the Olympic Games 1916.
Oh, right. Okay, so you're right. Anything sport related.
Yes.
Yes.
We've got this one here. It's a little set of 3 that was for the British Ski School.
Oh, right. Dating to what period?
It's probably 1930s, maybe a bit earlier because of the way that the hands are set. So
Yeah.
it could be 20s, something like
That's
that.
fabulous.
Isn't that
Split
amazing?
seconds. Again, the technical side of it is immense.
Yes.
There had to be, though, because they were used for like the Olympics and all major sporting competitions.
Yes. Yes.
And it's when they really got behind the rallying, car rallying.
Which was much later, of course.
Well, sort of 1930s.
As early as that.
Yeah, something like
The
these.
Autavia was invented, I think, in the 30s.
Oh, right.
And Autavia, as we know, is automobile and aviation.
Well, I didn't know that. Those that are really big into Heuer will know that.
Yes.
But that's interesting.
Yes. And Jack Heuer, he was the first person who made Autavias as wristwatches.
Oh, I see. It translates so well, doesn't it?
does.
It really does.
And he's upgraded these afterwards, didn't he, in the sort of 60s and 70s, because he said that they weren't easy enough to read. So there's versions of this have gone right through to the sort of mid-70s
Yeah.
Yes.
to go on the dashboard of a car. So you imagine if you've got a period car, and particularly if it's a sporting car and it's nearly always a Porsche,
Yeah.
these look perfect on the dashboard, and that's what we're still selling them now too.
And of
Right.
course, also in British classic cars like Jaguar and cars like these.
Saw
I mean,
wonderful
it's
works
wonderful.
Healy with them,
And it
Yes,
looks
yeah.
very classy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is the market very strong for these things, Jonathan?
Yeah, it's niche.
Yes.
What people find is, and there's different dial combinations. You can put them too closely to the right year for the car. And
Yes.
There's lots you can do with it, but it's very, very satisfying when you see that
Yes.
dashboard. There's lots of stories with people with wonderful cars that have come to us just for a pair of original Heuer timers.
Well, we've done a video on Heuer timers. We did the Who
The
timers.
Who timers,
didn't
they
we?
were perfect.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, and they sold very quickly.
Yeah, I bet they did.
Yeah.
I bet they did. But I mean, but again, most people do connect Heuer with motor racing, but much later in the 20th century. So,
Yes.
but you know, we're all big into our cars here. So to think that these things were used tracking and timing Bentleys in the early part of the 20th century is mind-boggling, isn't it?
Everybody would have had to have some because they were the best.